I'm Zachary Bloomgarden, clinical professor of medicine in the Division of Endocrinology at Mount Sinai School of Medicine. So I personally have treated well over 100, close to 150 people with Byetta, and it's very common to see nausea on the initiation of therapy. A small number of people are not able to tolerate the drug because of nausea and GI symptoms, and I have not seen pancreatitis in any of my patients. Now, I actually have not heard of pancreatitis in any of my colleagues' patients as well. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not out there and that it's not a problem. What it means is that this is a very infrequent event as a drug side effect, if it is indeed a drug side effect. And this is the whole dilemma, that we know that pancreatitis occurs in somewhere under 1 in 1,000 adults. We know that if you have obesity, hypertriglyceridemia, gallstones, if you're taking antihypertensive drugs such as ACE inhibitors and diuretics, if you're taking certain lipid-lowering drugs, if you're taking certain diabetes drugs such as sulfonylureas, all of those will increase the likelihood of having pancreatitis. We know that the population of people with diabetes is particularly high in all of those. And because Byetta has a weight loss benefit, it may be that Byetta even more was given to people who were overweight, who were even that much more likely to be in the population at risk for diabetes. Now, in that context, we have to ask, is some of the pancreatitis associated with Byetta therapy not caused by Byetta, but simply the pancreatitis that one would expect to see in that population? It's perfectly clear that at least some of the patients truly had pancreatitis induced by Byetta. So, for example, in the original reports that the FDA put out in February, one of the patients developed pancreatitis, went home, resumed Byetta, and developed pancreatitis again. Not that that was a good idea, but that person clearly proved that there is such a thing as Byetta-induced pancreatitis. But what we need to know is how many people have such an entity. Is it different from ACE inhibitor-induced pancreatitis, thiazide-induced pancreatitis, etc.? Is this a huge problem? Is it one of the many uncommon side effects that one has to know about in giving a drug? Or is it simply the expected incidence of this very severe problem that does occur in people with diabetes? Well, liraglutide definitely was reported to have several patients with pancreatitis in the 3,000 or so that were treated. So again, is that the expected number of people in this population, or does that represent a particular adverse effect of the drug? And the difference between Byetta and liraglutide is that Byetta has a half-life on the order of about 6 hours, and liraglutide has a half-life more like 18 to 20 hours. And that, of course, leads to the million-dollar question, or many million-dollar question: is Byetta LAR, which lasts for 7 days, going to have even more of such an adverse effect? And the even more long-acting GLP-1 receptor activators, which last for a month, could they have yet even more still of such an effect? And could that be an issue?